Talk about majestic. There's an overhead look at the Campbellville Oval here in Ontario, Canada. Woodbine Mohawk Park providing the backdrop for the 2018 edition of the Canadian Pacing Derby.
They say he's the best of the Southern Hemisphere.
And the race named after him, the superstar, wins the Superstars.
Lazarus, the best on the planet.
And Lazarus came forth to win the Dan Patch Stake.
He's proved his worth in his native land. He's proved his worth on American soil. Now, he has his sights set on conquering Canada. 9 of the best pacers in North America look to dethrone the wonder from down under in a Canadian Pacing Derby.
Looking for one of the greatest upsets in Canadian Pacing Derby history, a 60-1 stunner.
The Canadian Pacing Derby to wiggle it, jiggle it, and tee by 2 lengths in 149. Sintra shooting through late up the inside. Sintra closing. Sintra wins the Canadian Pacing Derby.
Mother Nature, no complaints. It has been a long, hot, steamy summer. Tonight, gorgeous conditions for racing here. A slight breeze. Track is lightning fast. We've already had multiple sub 150 miles, and I tell you what, the action just going to get that much hotter. Welcome. I'm Jason Portwando. North Americans watching on TSN Go. Those of you down under, a good day watching on Sky Racing in Australia, Trackside in New Zealand. Heck, we are Trackside Live. We're looking forward to tonight. You know, Lazarus Mania hitting the red and white. They got a chance to witness him at Hoosier Park, winning the Dan Patch. That was impressive. Now he travels north, comes to Canada, and the fever is here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We got a great crowd getting set for this, and I tell you what, this guy looks the part. In fact, earlier tonight, not a word of a lie, Lazarus, McWicked, they looked each other in the eye and gave each other the stare down. It was like the tail of the tape. It's almost like they realize it's game time. They've met once before. They're going to meet once again here tonight. And this is a very, very important race when you take a look at everything that's gone on with Lazarus. Yes, he's been phenomenal, but some other horses as well have been able to win this race and go on to some really big things. So this is a key race in terms of, you know, year of the end of the year honors. They take a look there. Real Desire, 2002, Canada Horse of the Year, U.S. Horse of the Year. Real Desire went on to bank $3.3 million in his illustrious career, went on to win multiple Breeders' Crowns, 25 of 40. That is a solid win number. Check out Cam Fella back in 1983. We dubbed him the Pacing Machine. He won 61 of 80 starts, $2 million in his career. Hall of Famer on both sides, U.S. and Canada. He won 2/3 of the U.S. Triple Crown, taking the Messenger and the Cane Pace, not eligible for the Little Brown Jug. But as you can see, some big names did some big things. So no doubt a stepping stone is this race, the Canadian Pacing Derby. So what exactly is this race? Well, for those of us here in Canada, it's the oldest harness race. It features age pacers. It has been able to, lure one of the best from down under in Lazarus. In fact, he is the richest ever to step foot in a set of hobbles. $2.8 million and counting. We'll see what he's got to offer tonight. Not just about him. In total, 10 horses will face the gate. Let's take a look and meet the field. From the inside, post 1, we're going to check in on Split the House. Here's a horse that, 2 starts ago in the Dan Patch, he actually came pretty close to winning. So he deserves some respect, and he's getting it morning line-wise. There's a look. He's at 6-1. Lazarus goes in as the favorite at 7-5. McWicked, though, keep an eye on him. He is the house horse. Many will be choosing that one, perhaps to top their exacta, the top 2 finishers. He's at 2-1. I think he's got a big shot. Okay, the starting lineup, as you take a look at some live action in the background. Split the House. He's back in Canada. He knows this circuit really well. He's won many races here. Tonight up against it, but hey, maybe he's primed for the upset. He's got post 1. Lazarus, this has turned out to be a bargain buy, actually. $75,000 as a yearling purchase. He makes his Canadian debut. He's trying to stay perfect. That shot there is picturesque. Will he remain undefeated in North America? McWicked, post 3. Appropriately enough, lines up right beside that guy. He has been very consistent here in 2018, missing the ticket just once in 10 starts. He's taking checkers 6 times, including that Houghton Memorial at the Meadowlands. Rock and Run, no stranger to having success here in Canada. Take a look at that shot from earlier this year, winning the Camelot Classic at London's Western Fair. nobody else is in the picture. That's just how easily he was able to win on that occasion. The 5 mid-gate, that's Filibuster Hanover. Good thing for him, he's a 4-year-old. 4-year-olds have dominated recently, including back-to-back runnings of this event. In fact, he hoisted the Confederation Cup in May as part of a 5-race win streak to start 2018. Post 6. Nobody has done it better when it comes to making money. All bets are off. Richest horse in the field, $3.1 million earned. And if at first you don't succeed, you know the rest of that, and so too does this guy. His 4th consecutive start in the Canadian Pacing Derby, hasn't won since late June. The house horse has to be Nirvana Sealster. He is a fan favorite, has that home course advantage, and will likely be heard from early in the mile as he is knocking on the door for $1 million in his career. That brings us to the defending champion, Sintra. Needs a reversal in fortune with just 1 win in 9 starts this year. Work to do from post number 8. The fastest ever in Canada, that distinction belongs to Dr. J. Hanover. He looks rejuvenated, winning 2 of 4 after almost 7 weeks away earlier this summer. There's a look at that 146 and 4 mile in the Graduate last year. And last but not least, post 10, Western Fame. He's actually the only other horse not named Lazarus who's coming into this affair off of victory. He actually beat some of these horses as well in that win. He is the second of 2 trained by Jimmy Takter. So there is a look at this field of 10 chasing that $300,000 payday. Really good looking field. The excitement, it continues to build. Moments ago, we had another live event take place on the track here. And as we get closer to post time, we're going to be interactive with you. You're a part of this broadcast as well, whether you're watching from New Zealand, Australia, North America, it doesn't matter. Twitter reaches everyone. Social media, it's a beautiful thing. All we want to know is who's going to win, plain and simple. Just give us your vote. Use the hashtag BetWoodbineSB. You can see, yeah, no surprise, Lazarus, 72%. McWicked, followed by Split the House, Filibuster Hanover. So you got lots of time to chime in and be a part of this poll. So what about Lazarus? What's the big deal? For those of you that don't know about this racing greatness, they call him the Wonder from Down Under. Well, take a look at this resume. Let's just say it's a type of resume that does not need a cover letter. I mean, 78% in his career. How good is that? 2.7 million US. Horse of the Year, Pacer of the Year in New Zealand, as you can see, world record holder. It just goes on and on, the accolades for Lazarus, who, by the way, did a lot of stuff down under, but he is fully North American bred. So what do we have on track for Lazarus? Well, let's take a look. We got the poster here. So, you know, Lazarus, we'll get Such here to zoom out here, get a good shot of this. There's the date. We talk about this Wonder from Down Under, his name Lazarus, Woodbine, Mohawk Park. This will be a keepsake. So we got the poster. You want to be just waving the flag, representing, so I can say good day, mate, because actually I do believe right now it is Sunday, Down Under. So good morning, good afternoon to those of you watching. And then we also have the towel. So good day indeed. There it is. Lazarus, wish I was there. Well, you know what? I am here. Wish you were here to be a part of this. So all the fans that came here tonight, in fact, the first 2,500 were able to come through the doors and get some Lazarus paraphernalia. If he wins tonight, everybody here, just a secret between you and I, we're going to give T-shirts to everybody here that is here to witness Lazarus and the greatness. So, speaking of Lazarus, just to give you a little bit of a background on this horse, he actually has a bit of a Canadian connection. That's right. Dwayne Marfisi does a lot of training right here at Woodbine Mohawk Park and actually was an integral part of this horse's career in the early stages. With more on this, we check in with colleague Chad Rosema.
Lazarus kicked away. Lazarus is out by 5 lengths, and once again, Lazarus has arisen. Get Nasser on the phone. He is in another orbit. Lazarus does it again.
In the last few years, 6-year-old pacing sensation Lazarus has electrified racing fans in Australia and New Zealand.
He'll upstage the Dolphins, he'll upstage the Whales, and he'll...
With 35 wins in 45 starts at varying distances, this New Zealand bred has banked $2.7 million in purse money while earning the nickname the Wonder from Down Under.
You could take them anywhere and take on the best.
Earlier this year, the son of Bettor's Delight was privately sold to Kentucky-based tailor-made stallions. They are now campaigning the champ in North America, hoping to add to his splendid resume before retiring him to stud. Earlier this week, Lazarus's former connections reflected on seeing him move north.
We just gave him a big kiss, and we had a lot of photographs and that taken, so, you know, and you're left with sort of a little bit of a lump in your throat because he's certainly one of those horses of a generation.
It was sad to see him go. His opportunities in America and his stud capabilities in both hemispheres were, you know, it was an opportunity for the horse that you had to, you know, respect and do the right thing by him. He was just great to work with, and he always worked with you. He'd almost go onto the track and he'd just say to you, "What are we doing this morning, boss?" And he'd do just exactly what you asked of him.
I always reckoned he grew a little bit bigger on big days, and his sort of stature increased. But when it was game on, it was game on. He went out on the track there and he did the job.
Lazarus is the latest Southern Hemisphere phenom, joining the likes of thoroughbred super filly Winx.
There's 26 in a row for the Jack.
And fellow Kiwi breds, the magnificent Farlap, along with Cardigan Bay, the first standardbred to win $1 million US.
Lazarus accelerates off the turn here.
With Yannick Gingras in the bike, new trainer Jimmy Tactor qualified Lazarus at the Meadowlands with a win over reigning NA Cup champ Lather Up. That in turn set him up for his stakes debut in Indiana.
And Lazarus came forth to win the 25th running of the Dan Patch Stakes.
Thank you, New Zealand, for raising me a heck of a horse. We appreciate it. We're carrying the New Zealand flag.
Tonight, Canadian racing fans will get their first glimpse at the wonder from Down Under, where his former connections will be rooting him on.
It's wonderful to watch him, and I've been keeping in touch with Jimmy, and I know, you know, how wrapped Jimmy is with the horse, so I know going into the race he's going to go really well for him, and he has done, so it's lovely to see, and it's great for what he's doing for Australia and New Zealand here.
All right, thanks to Paul Sabalaggio and Phil McSween for that piece. Got a little ahead of myself. Chad Rosenbaum will join us a little bit later on. There's the background, the check, if you will, on Lazarus. Here they come out to the track. Let's introduce you. The starting lineup would split the house. Talked about this one, putting that scare into Lazarus 2 starts ago. Brett Miller driving for trainer Chris Oakes and Crawford Farms Racing. Let's get to the big guy. There he is, the man who just does not need an introduction. He is just phenomenal. A really good look at Lazarus. He's captured 36 of 46 lifetime. Yannick Gingras won this race in 2012 with Harness Racing's richest ever in foiled again. Can he do it again? Right now, the favorite on the board at 1-9. That's as low as you can possibly go. How about McWicked? He knows this oval better than a lot of horses. A troubled trip, third in last year's event. He's seeking revenge. Driver Dave Miller is a 2-time winner of this event. Trainer Casey Coleman still has maiden status, though, in this event. She's trying to change that. Miller, Coleman, they've had a ton of success together. Race, horse number 4 this 8th race is Rock and Run. There's a look at Scotty Zeron. You know, beat a neck in last year's edition. He's 0 for 8, though, since taking the Camelot Classic. Hambo winning driver, Scott Zeron driving for Ron Burke, who has won this race twice, but right now an outsider. Heck, they're all outsiders compared to Lazarus. The 5 is Filibuster Hanover. Now, he is seeking the rare Jug Canadian Pacing Derby double. Doesn't happen very often. In fact, Wiggle It Jiggle It is the only one to accomplish that feat. Tim Tetrick put his name on the trophy in 2013. By the way, Ron Burke also does the play calling with this son of some beach somewhere. The 6 in the field is All Bets Off. Well, here's the guy that is back for another try, as documented, a 4th consecutive appearance in this Derby. The best finish, by the way, is 4th for him. Richest athlete in the race, banking $3.1 million. Kakeli, Burke, they won the Adios this year with Dorso Duro Hanover. The 7 horse, we'll take a look at him coming up next, and we've seen a lot of this guy. No doubt we're going to label him as the house horse. Nirvana Sealster, all but 2 of his 176 starts right here on this circuit for trainer Bill Budd and owner Bruce Davey. Knocking on the door, as talked about, of $1 million in his career, dead heated for 4th in last year's edition of the Derby. Speaking of last year, well, here's the guy that stole the headlines. His name is Sintra, and Sintra just became a millionaire in his last start, and just like a lot of superstars. They've got that flair for the dramatic, making us wait before he gets that appearance, just like that superstar boxer before they get into that ring. Here comes Sintra. Jody Jamieson in the bike once again, trying to become the first to cash a Canadian Pacing Derby double since Liz Mara in 2006, 2007, but he'll need a reversal in fortune. Has struggled this year with just one win in 9 starts. Speaking of the 9, fastest ever on Canadian soil. His name is Dr. Jay Hanover. 1:46.4 that mile when he took the graduate last June right here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Both teamster Sylvain Filion and conditioner Tony Alagna seeking their initial Derby score. And that brings us to the 10th and final athlete you're going to see lining up in tonight's big event. Western Fame comes in off a 15-1 upset, and that 15-1 upset in the Roll with Joe at Toyoga, he beat 3 of the horses in tonight's field. So maybe, just maybe, second of 2 sent out here by trainer Jimmy Tactor, who, by the way, has never won this race. And those of you watching down under, the name Andrew McCarthy should be familiar, as he is from Australia, and he's got the lines for tonight. And I tell you what, the Bugle Boys adding the ambiance right behind us as we get set for that official introduction to the horses. And I tell you what, in case you're wondering, 1:47.2, by the way, a rock and roll dance, modern legend sharing the track record, a stakes record for this event, just in case you're wondering. Earlier on, I talked about colleague Chad Rosema. This time, he is standing by with Dave Maneri, who conditioned last year's winner in Sintra.
Yeah, thanks a lot here, Jason, here with Dave Maneri. You've got the defending champ, Sintra. Maybe not coming into the race exactly the way you had planned, but how is he?
Yeah, I think he's turning around. I think he was back to himself last week. You know, he's went through a horrible month, you know, by his standards. You know, but last week we put him in play early. He was caught in late, you know, but he acted like himself. He's had a good week heading into the race, and you know, from the 8 hole, we're going to need a lot of luck. We found luck from the 9 hole last year, but we're going to need lots tonight.
What do you want to see Jody map out for a kind of trip with him?
I hope there's a lot of speed early. You know, I mean, they're all good horses, so there's going to be a lot of flow on the outside. You know, I can't see McWicked being involved, you know, going into the first turn. You know, so if he could tow the bus, and, you know, hopefully we're in a position where if the horse is good, you know, he's got a chance. You know,
it's not often that you can double up in a race like this. What would it mean to you to come right back with this guy?
Unbelievable. You know, it's been a slow start for the year since the Gold Cup for him. It'd be a big way to turn it around.
All right, all the best, Dave.
Thanks a lot, Chad.
All right, thanks.
Come back and he's going to win it.
Cam Fella is one of the best horses ever run.
It's Cam Fella on top as they come to the wire.
Because truthfully, that horse in itself belongs to the people.
Cam Fella, the pacing machine, a super champion, a prolific sire of sires, and the great-grandsire of tonight's arguably most intriguing contender, Lazarus. Cam Fella was owned by Norm Faulkner and Norm Clements, trained by the great Pat Crow. His 3-year-old season was absolutely dominant. He won a record 28 of 33 starts. It began with 11 straight wins. He then zigzagged across the continent, tallying scores in North America's pinnacle events. Cam Fella was named the 1982 Horse of the Year on both sides of the border. Exemplary as his 3-year-old campaign was, his 4-year-old campaign was arguably better. After a slow 2-4-2 start, Cam Fella went on to win a mind-boggling 28 straight races, including the Canadian Pacing Derby. His fame grew, and so did a passionate band of fans.
It's pure and simple. The horses that have to race with him and go stride to stride are up the track. He not only beats them, but he demoralizes them.
The Cam Fella Express traveled by bus, by plane, whatever it took to witness a legend in the making. The pacing machine became a phenomenon. There was a movie produced, a song written, along with television appearances by his connections. He was named Horse of the Year in Canada and the US for the 2nd year in a row. And while his racing career had drawn to a close, a prolific breeding career was set to begin. Again, he excelled to unparalleled levels, this time as a sire of champions and world record holders. An outstanding pedigree still present here tonight.
Pat Crow, Great job with that guy. Ended on that unbelievable win streak. The two Norms had a lot of fun, too, with Cam Fella, Norm Clements, Norm Faulkner, and that brings us to another great one. Lazarus, tell you what, this guy is phenomenal, and just looking at him live in the flesh earlier tonight, he definitely lives up to the hype, and right now the hype is on the board. He is at 2-5. I mean, he looked so good winning the Dan Patch. The qualifier at the Meadowlands in 48-3. Went on to win the Dan Patch in 48-4. The crowd just erupted moments ago. They heard that the starter beep the horn, which means that we're just moments away from the start. Yannick Gingras going through the final paces with this guy. And for those of you watching down under wondering how he has been able to transition from there to our hemisphere, he's been just fine. He won that race in the U.S. Earlier this past week, he was able to train down at Tactor's Farm here in 51-3. So, I mean, this guy is A-OK, and they're going to have to do some pacing to beat him here tonight. But obviously, it's a horse race. We've seen funnier things happen. So, Lazarus getting all that attention as you would expect. All bets are off. Yeah, he's been struggling. But as talked about, no one in this field has made as much money as he has. $3.1 million. Kakele and Burke with that big win in the Adios. They're looking for a little bit more action here. Maybe a little bit of luck. That would definitely help this guy right now on the board at 47-1. If there's an upset, here's the horse that I think could provide it. And his name is McWicked. He's at 3-1. He knows his oval really well, as talked about. He's beaten the best of the best on our side of the world, but he's never faced anything like a Lazarus. He'll get that acid test once again. A good third behind Lazarus in the Dan Patch. He came a final quarter in 25-2. Not often you go 25-2 in the final quarter, and that's not good enough to win. McWicked, as you can see, has that favorable post 3. That's been a good number for horses since 1992. Dr. J. Hanover. Well, speaking of an affinity for this surface, go back to last year's Graduate in June with Doug McNair in the bike. 146-4 is the perfect storm, very much like tonight. Hot, hazy, humid, no breeze, ideal conditions for harness racing, and this guy was superlative, winning in 46-4, which to this day is still the second fastest mile ever behind the 146 flat of Always Be Mickey. Will we see that mark drop tonight? Very possible. There is a live look at the horses getting in behind that starting gate. It is going to go into position, which means we are ready to get it on. It is game time. Lazarus, the crowd, if only you could see, they are 10, 12 deep. Nobody, although they paid for seats, they're either on the edge of them or not even using them. They're standing right now. So the stage is set. All we need now is for the race itself. Here is track announcer Ken Middleton with the call of tonight's Canadian Pacing Derby.
In early August, in behind the gate for tonight's 8th race, 10 of the sport's finest heavyweights ready to contest the Canadian Pacing Derby final. Field of 10 picks up speed. They're off and pacing. First to fire, Filibuster Hanover. Nirvana Sealster going to charge out with them. Lazarus will size them up from back in third, and in at the rail, fourth away, split the house. Outside is Century into fifth now. Sixth in early traffic is McWicked. Then it's back to Rock and Ron, and all bets off. The final two are Dr. J. Hanover and Western Fame, quarter pole bound, and they chase Filibuster Hanover as Tetrick puts him into play early. On top, this is Filibuster Hanover. He chopped out that first quarter in 26-4. Nirvana Sealster pocket rides. Here out of third now with a rush comes Lazarus. And Lazarus jumps up on his gas pedal right now on the way to 3/8. Lazarus from third to second, and he'll brush to the front here for Gingras and take charge on the way to the midway point. Back into second goes Filibuster Hanover. It's Nirvana Sealster third. The rail fourth belongs to Split the House. McWicked gets underway for Miller first over fifth now. Sixth inside, locked up Sintra. Covered up seventh now, Rock and Ron. Eighth in the backfield, all bets off. Western Fame is ninth inside, trailing 10th, Dr. J. Hanover. Half in 55-1. Not a stressful clip by any means. Lazarus motors into the final turn. He's up front by a length and a half. Here is pressure coming on the outside in the form of McWicked now. Right there, third quarter pole leader Filibuster Hanover. Advancing on the cover, fourth is Rock and Ron. Then it's back inside Nirvana Sealster, sixth on cover. All bets off, 3/4 of a mile, and they go by that marker. Lazarus leads the way. He's on top, a length. McWicked to his wheel in second, 3/4 in 1:22-3. Derby, and they're into the stretch. Lazarus at the inside. McWicked on the outside just won't go away. And McWicked's got his yellow shadow roll up in front now when they come into the final eighth of the mile. McWicked draws clear in deep stretch. And McWicked does it the tough way. He's wicked. McWicked, 149 to win the Canadian Pacing Derby.
In a word, wow, 149 flat McWicked. Wow, that was unbelievable. First over, he earned it the hard way. And wow, oh wow, Lazarus goes down in defeat. McWicked pulls off the unthinkable for Casey Coleman. She's got a big smile on her face, and rightfully so, as that was in 149 flat. And Lazarus, you know, raced well, simply defeated. It's a horse race, and, you know, he gave it his all. The fractions weren't overly taxing, just simply second best. Sometimes when you lose a race, you just got to tip your cap to the competition, and that's the case here tonight with McWicked as he pulls off the shocker. 7-2 the price, and with that win, he's now got 29 in his career, well over 3.5, or close to 3.5 million, I should say now, in his bank account, 3.3 and counting. And yeah, McWicked, the surprise. So unofficial order of finish here. McWicked wins it over Lazarus. Third going to the 1, Split the House, and fourth going to the 5, Filibuster Hanover. So shocking developments here at Woodbine Mohawk Park as Lazarus at 1-5 gets defeated. And of course, like any spot on any racetrack, the winner's circle, always the most jovial of any, and no different tonight as the connections of McWicked are just thrilled with their 7-year-old. And I'll tell you what, this son of McCardle is really resilient. He's gone through health issues. He's been a multiple champion on both sides of the border when it comes to Horse of the Year honors, and just, you know, an amazing athlete, and all that Casey Coleman has done with this guy, and how big a trip was that tonight. Let's check in with Chad Rosema.
All right, I'm here with winning driver Dave Miller, and Dave, this is your third Canadian Pacing Derby victory. Does it get sweeter every time?
It's great. It's a great feeling. Thanks, Case. Yes, it's a great race to win. You know, a lot of tradition and a lot of money.
And just talk about this horse. He's arguably been the best older pacer all season long, and I think he proved it here again tonight.
Yes, you can't take nothing away from him. I mean, the first over grind into Lazarus, I wasn't too confident around the last turn, but we got into the stretch. My horse felt really strong. I asked him. He just did the rest.
This is going to be a fun matchup all season, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, I believe so.
Go enjoy it, Dave. Well done.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jason, there's Dave Miller. Winning connections going back. We'll try and catch up with some of those in a few minutes.
All right, Dave Miller, yes, with his third. No stranger to the winner's circle here at this racetrack, especially with the Canadian Pacing Derby. And, you know, it wasn't all that long ago he had a major drought in terms of trying to win the North America Cup. That drought ended, and Betting Line was able to do that for him. And I'll tell you what, big night for Dave Miller, big night for Casey Coleman as she gets her first ever Canadian Pacing Derby score. SSG Stables of North Boston, New York. They'll be partying, no doubt. And I tell you what, he did it the hard way. It wasn't like he got an easy second over trip. He did all the heavy lifting, and fully deserving of this victory here tonight. Pays $970 to win, $270, $240. Lazarus simply second best, $210, $210. Split the house in third, $3, and rounding out the top 4, Filibuster Hanover. So 3, 2, 1, 5. That's superfecta for $1, returning just under $114. There is a look at what was an amazing accomplishment by an amazing horse tonight, upstaging the one that everybody came to see in Lazarus. But I tell you what, we talked about that little stare down they had inside the paddock. McWicked had his game face on tonight, and he is the one smiling for the camera after this race, capturing the 2018 Canadian Pacing Derby. Dave Miller with a huge smile on his face. Casey Coleman, you would expect the same. Husband Mark Herlihy beside her, and the entire group with Coleman, decked out in the blue and yellow, and just a phenomenal night for McWicked, who gets that revenge. First time they met at the Dan Patch, don't forget it was Lazarus winning, but tonight the tables were turned. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's presentation. A big thanks to our technical and production crews helping make this possible. For producer Chris Platts, Chad Roseman, and all of us here at Woodbine Entertainment, I'm Jason Portwando. Thanks for the company on a night where McWicked captures the Canadian Pacing Derby.